I hear that.
Okay. All right. Good evening, and welcome back to Beef Brady's here in Starke. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get this into motion here. There we go. Well, if you wanted to see our faces that close, there it is. Welcome back. We've been gone for a couple weeks for the College Football Gridiron Show. By the way, we wrapped up our high school show. The last show was 2 weeks ago yesterday. Last week, taking off for the holidays. A chance to see Christmas, New Year's coming up this week. And so we're back with the College Football Gridiron Report tonight from Beef Brady's in Starke. This will be our last show this year, right? Yeah. We'll see you next year, hopefully. But 2025 coming to an end, of course, tomorrow into New Year's Day. But we've had a lot of interesting things happening in college football here the last few weeks with the bowl games and whatnot. The playoffs are underway. I don't know if there's any real surprises other than maybe Alabama beating Oklahoma. Can you hear me?
I hear loud and clear.
Okay. There you go. All right. And, so Alabama, Oklahoma, although I don't know if that was a big surprise. We'll talk about that in a minute because we've got the quarterfinal tomorrow night, 3 games on New Year's Day, and then the semifinals will be next week. We'll plan on coming back next week, I believe on maybe do Wednesday again next week. And then we're going to do our final show on the night of the national championship game, January 19th, on a Monday. So we're just moving around all kinds of days. But Corey, did you have a good Christmas?
I did indeed. Because of other things going on, I had Christmas. I didn't have Christmas on Christmas Day. I had Christmas on Saturday and Sunday. Oh, technically, I did have Christmas on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. So I had like 4 Christmases.
You had 4?
Yeah.
That's nice. I had 1, but as we're talking right now, the Music City Bowl is going on, and Tennessee, who's been down this whole game, is now pulled within 3 of Illinois, 24-21 with 11:40 to go. There's only 3 games today. Earlier today, the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl in Shreveport. Louisiana Tech trailed that game at the half 14-3. They trailed 14-6 going into the fourth quarter, but they scored 17 points in the fourth to beat Coastal Carolina 23-14. So Louisiana Tech playing Coastal on Wednesday. Tonight, the final game tonight is the Alamo Bowl in San Antonio. That should be an interesting matchup. USC taking on TCU, and that'll be later tonight. And then tomorrow, you're going to have games earlier in the day. At noon is the ReliaQuest Bowl. And then you'll have, of course, the quarterfinal game tomorrow night. But let's start with a look back at the FCS semifinals, because those happened last week before Christmas. And we talked about this Illinois State team, unseeded, the Redbirds. They went to North Dakota State and won. They went to UC Davis and won. And then they went back across the country to Villanova and won. They beat Villanova 30-14. So unseeded Illinois State is the first FCS team to win 4 playoff games on the road to advance to the FCS championship game. And they will play Montana State, who knocked off their rival Montana 48-23. Montana State led 20-3 in the first half. Was only up 27-23 in the fourth early on, but then they scored the last 21 points to win the Brawl of the Wild for the second time this year. Over the last 2 years, Montana State Bobcats have gone 16-0 in Big Sky Conference play, 2 trips to the national title game, a 28-3 record, and 3-0 against the rival Grizzlies. So Montana State and Illinois State will play for the 1AA FCS title. That is on Monday.
Next Monday, January 5th.
Yeah, they're going to have that on Monday night. There is no Monday Night Football next week, so that'll be the NFL. So that'll be the big game.
And that'll be at Vanderbilt, which is
That's
kind of
right.
cool.
It'll be in Nashville at Vanderbilt Stadium or whatever they call it, Dudley Field. Or they call it something else now.
Or First Bank
First Bank. Yeah, it's got a corporate sponsor. And of course, that game will be by itself on January 5th. Then the following week, the playoffs will get NFL playoffs get underway. So they will have a playoff game on that Monday night at 12. And then the next week, January 19th, is the national championship game. So still, it's a few Mondays of football. But so Illinois State, maybe nobody expected them unseeded. Montana State, probably more expected as the 2 seed. And you have to think as the favorite in this game. But Illinois State's been knocking off everybody. So it should be an interesting ball game, as you mentioned.
They've kind of become the Cinderella of this whole tournament. Lack of respect. Obviously after 4 playoff games, they probably should have been seeded.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, because of what conference they're in, maybe the Missouri Valley, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they were not seeded. I think they had 4 losses. Actually, I have this down here somewhere.
I think you're right. Yeah.
12-4.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason why, because they were 8-4 going into the
Right.
After the regular season.
I think Montana State, have they lost a game?
One
game.
One game, I think.
I think they played.
13-2. They lost twice.
Who?
They lost twice.
Oh, against FBS teams or against?
I don't have their schedule in front of me. I don't know.
I'll look at it. Anyway.
But this Montana State-Montana game was crazy. I was actually out Christmas shopping that night, and I taped it, and I was going to watch it later. And of course, every time I do that, I always end up not watching it because I'm glued to my phone and I'm watching it on my phone. And the first half, Montana State was killing. I mean, they were up 20-3. I'm like, oh, they're going to easily win this game. And then credit to Montana. Montana came back and made it a game. Like I said, cut it 27-23. And then Montana State scored 3 touchdowns in a 5-minute span to completely turn this game around. They got a big pick six, which
they've been owning. Yeah, they've been owning their rival lately, the Grizzlies. Although the first game was a lot closer than this one was, as you mentioned. But yeah, by the way, Montana State lost its first 2 games of the season at Oregon, which and then they lost an overtime game to South Dakota State. So they have won 12 in a row 13 in a row. Yeah, 13-2 going in. So we'll see. When we come back next week, we'll be able to talk about that. Illinois State and Montana State. 1AA FCS next week. Division 2 goes again to Ferris State. 42 to Ferris State. Won it with current Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss running at the controls. They do it again as he's moved on to Ole Miss. And they finished 16-0 with a 42-21 win over previously undefeated Harding. Ferris State rushed for 5,000 yards and 72 touchdowns this season, triple option offense, which I'm surprised they had a quarterback like they did in this offense last year. That's their 4th national championship in 5 years. So they've been pretty dominant in Division 2 level.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching Division 2, especially the national championship game. It was always Grand Valley State was always in it. I was going to say Mount Dora, but Mount Dora is Division 3.
Mount Union.
Mount Dora. Mount Union, yeah, they're Division 3.
They're 3, yeah. They used to say that.
But, it seemed they're the hot team right now. Winning 4 of the last 5. Nobody can touch them right now.
I had to look it up. They're in Michigan. I actually didn't know where they're located. Big Rapids, Michigan. They have Grand Rapids, Michigan, Little Rapids, Michigan, Big Rapids, Michigan. That's where Ferris State's located as well. And in Division 3, now they had the semifinals. The championship game is this Sunday night at 8 o'clock on ESPN in Canton, Ohio. That's at the Hall of Fame Stadium, I'm assuming, NFL Hall of Fame. Wisconsin River Falls, though, defeats Johns Hopkins 48-41. This was a really good game. The Semis tied at 41 with 56 seconds left. An 80-yard touchdown reception from Blake Rohr broke the tie, sent the Falcons to the title game. Wisconsin River Falls had 19 straight losing seasons from 2001 to 2019. Now they're playing for the Division III title. I didn't realize Johns Hopkins was that good at football. They're always
neither did I, because they're always good in lacrosse.
Lacrosse, right? Yeah. And then on the other side, their opponent will be.
I saw that game and how it ended. I saw a clip of it. Basically, it was a 10-yard pass that he turned the Jets on. We went through traffic and ran 80 yards in the final minute to secure
Uh,
their trip to
exciting
the
game.
national championship.
Really
Yeah.
exciting game there for Wisconsin River Falls. Their opponent will be, though, the defending national champion North Central Illinois, who defeated John Carroll 41-21 the other semifinal. Again, the defending national champion Cardinals will come back and defend their title, looking for their fourth title in 7 years. So the championship game, known as the Amos Alonzo Stag Bowl, or the Stag Bowl, again, will be on Friday night or Sunday night, January 4th, 8 o'clock on ESPN in Canton.
I did
And
not realize that game was in Canton because
yeah,
I can remember that game always being in Salem, Virginia,
yeah, Florence,
uh,
Alabama.
Lawrence,
North
Alabama.
Alabama
In fact,
was
when I was in high school, we played our state semifinal game the very next day at Manatee was the Division III national championship
at
game
Manatee. Wow,
at Manatee.
okay, interesting.
So it's kind of gone, but for a while it was either at Salem or Florence. So
Yeah, I
uh,
remember
surprising
Salem.
that it's the NFL Hall of Fame.
Well, North Central Illinois is 14-0. Wisconsin River Falls 13-1. So that'll be your again your Division III championship game coming up on Sunday night. So that'll be interesting with um, all the NFL coming up this weekend as well. North Central is located in Naperville, Illinois, which is Chicago. Let's look at Division II, Division III, and FCS bowl standings. And these are updated, I believe, as of yesterday, because there's only been one more game today. But the Big Ten was 5-0 through bowls yesterday, and right now, if Illinois wins, they'll be 6-0 as they're leading Tennessee 24-21, but driving in the fourth quarter. And that would actually drop the SEC. We talked about this to 2-5 allegedly, although actually it's 2-3. We don't really count. We really want to count the playoff.
Actually, well, I redid it. It would actually be 0-3 right now because two of those wins are the playoffs.
Oh, so you didn't count? That's right. They haven't actually won one because Missouri lost.
They haven't actually won a bowl game.
Missouri lost to Virginia, the Gator Bowl. LSU lost to Houston at the Texas Bowl. That's right. That was a really good game, by the way. Went back and forth between LSU and Houston. Meanwhile, the Gator Bowl was a snooze fest. That was just really not a very interesting game. And Missouri could not move the ball at all against Virginia. Lost that game 13-7. So you've got the Big Ten at 5-0. The Big 12 is 2-0. As the only Big 12 teams that have played so far.
Because Kansas State opted out.
Yeah.
Iowa State opted out.
Trying to remember all the scores here. But they've got Texas Tech playing in the semifinal against Oregon, on quarterfinal Oregon on New Year's Day. They've got Arizona State playing Duke tomorrow in the Sun Bowl. And then that's all I can think of right now.
Arizona State.
Utah is playing Nebraska tomorrow in the Las Vegas Bowl. Yeah. So, right, that's the.
Well, it's hard to remember because conference realignment kind of killed it.
Well, TCU is playing tonight. TCU is playing USC tonight. So that's a Big 10, Big 12 matchup. Americans 4-3. I think they're already almost done with their bowls. The ACC is already 4-4, and I guess you're counting the Miami's playoff win there as well. Georgia Tech lost. Virginia won. So Clemson lost. Yeah, that's another one. The Big Ten one, the Penn State beating Clemson in that game. So
NC State won their bowl.
NC State, yeah, they won. They won, and Louisville
Beat Toledo.
won. Yeah, so
Wake Forest plays Mississippi State
Friday,
yeah.
Mayo Bowl. That's right. They're playing. Miami plays tomorrow night. It's Ohio State. Duke plays tomorrow against Arizona State. You've got tomorrow the Relia Quest. You got a Big Ten SEC. That's the Outback Bowl. Iowa and Vanderbilt from Tampa. Then you got another Big Ten SEC at the Citrus Bowl tomorrow at 3:00. Michigan and Texas, which would be an interesting matchup. But I think with all that's going on at Michigan, I don't really know if they're going to be able to beat Texas. But they did get a head coach, though. So that's good news for Michigan, bringing in Kyle Whittingham, which was maybe a little surprising to a lot of people, retiring after 21 years at Utah. but he wanted to stay in coaching, and he's going to Michigan. So.
Well, I know a lot of people said that. I mean, if he would have said no, where else would you go? Because
Yeah,
NFL coaches are focused on the playoffs or keeping their job, and you've got current college coaches preparing for the playoffs.
right.
So really, if he would have said no, he was the last option.
Other than that, they're going to bring, they're going to move an assistant up here, right? And that kind of thing too. But
But
yeah,
I've always like this whole conference bowl. You know, they have a trophy.
yeah,
I think I've always thought it was really cool until this year or last year, because with the playoffs, you should not count a playoff game because Georgia and Ole Miss play each other this week, so the SEC is going to take another loss.
yeah.
And to me, that shouldn't. No other conference has multiple teams in the playoffs, so they're going to continue to rack up losses.
That's right. The SEC had 4. They were the only one with more than one team.
Alabama, A&M, Georgia, and Ole Miss. Yeah.
Yeah, there were 4, and of course Alabama or Oklahoma. There's 5.
Oh, Oklahoma. Yeah.
But Alabama and Oklahoma played each other. Yeah.
So I think this year it's a little misleading because
Right.
you've got, you know, they're counting teams that played in the playoffs, and really, that's why now I updated to say they are really 0-2,
Yeah.
depending on what happens with Tennessee.
So the rest of the conferences: ACC 4-4, Conference USA is 3-3, the MAC is 2-3. Louisiana Tech won today. Are they Conference USA?
I couldn't remember. That's why I hadn't updated it yet.
Or are they Sun Belt? It might be Sun Belt. No, Coastal's in the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina, I think. See, you're right. I can't keep up with it either. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. But
And it's changing again in July 1st.
what's
The Pac-
changing?
The Pac-12's coming back.
Pac-12. That's right. Pac-12 is coming back.
The
You're right.
Pac-12 raided the Mountain West.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Louisiana Tech is in. Sorry, telling me. All right, well, we'll figure it out. But the SEC you have on here, the Sun Belt 2-4. Yeah, Louisiana Tech's in Conference USA. So I'm pretty sure the Sun Belt, yeah, Coastal's in the Sun Belt. That game was today. Georgia Southern winning yesterday. That was but they beat App State. They're both in the Sun Belt, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that was 2 conference teams playing. Well, App State only made a bowl game because they were 5-7, so 5-8. But Mississippi State is too. They're 5-7, playing Wake Forest and Charlotte. So the Sun Belt 2-4, Mountain West 2-5. He's got the Pac-12 on here. Washington State won a bowl game. The old Pac-12 1-0. They beat Utah State in the Idaho Potato Bowl last week, and then Independence.
Actually, aren't they 0-1? Because UConn lost to Army. That's wrong.
Yeah, it's only Independent,
Yeah,
right?
so they're 0-1.
Yeah, UConn did lose to Army. So.
There's Roger.
There he is. There's the man. SEC lost. So the SEC lost Oklahoma, Texas A&M, LSU, and Missouri. Oklahoma losing to Alabama in the playoff. A&M losing to Miami in the playoff. LSU lost to Houston at the Texas Bowl. Missouri losing to Virginia at the Gator Bowl. And, of course, Alabama winning a playoff game against Oklahoma, Ole Miss against Tulane. So we have Tennessee going right now. Vanderbilt plays tomorrow at noon against Iowa and Tampa. Texas against Michigan tomorrow at 3 o'clock. That's the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Alabama in action on New Year's Day at the Rose Bowl against Indiana. Georgia plays that night in the Sugar Bowl against Ole Miss. And then you have Mississippi State. Mississippi State will be the last SEC team to play, which is funny, on Friday, I mean. In the
they were another team, along with Rice, that did not qualify for a bowl, but because some teams opted out, they had to choose from 5 and 7 teams.
All right. Rice is
Also 5 and 7.
and they're playing on Friday as well. And
Playing Texas State.
yeah, that's the Armed Forces Bowl, I think.
Yep, Armed Forces.
Yeah. Because I know they've already had the Military Bowl, and they had the other game already in
Which
Dallas.
Help this make sense. Oh, Tennessee with a big return here, and he could go all the way. He's going to score, and Tennessee takes the lead with 4 minutes to go.
Well, they get an extra point, but yeah. Wow. Was that the kick return?
Or maybe.
I was listening to this game on the way in, and they're saying you see the people all bundled up. It said it's 35 degrees in Nashville, and they're like, it's not really windy; it's just cold. Hey, what's up? So, it looks like Tennessee's going to take the lead.
How's it going, man?
What's going on, man? How are you? Good to see you. So let's see. That's what we have left in the SEC. We can take a look at some of the other bowl games. The Gator Bowl was kind of not a very interesting game.
I thought the final 5 minutes of the game were.
It was, but the funny thing was, I forgot Missouri's quarterback went in the transfer portal. The guy they had playing was a freshman who had played 2 games this year, but he just could not get anything going. Although they did on that last drive finally. But you're right, the end of it was a little more interesting. But it was a pretty defensive game throughout.
Oh, that was a punt return. He fumbled it twice.
No, they just scored. It's a field goal. Kick return.
It was a punt return.
No, Illinois just kicked a field goal. That was a kick return.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I just saw that, but yeah, because it was 27-21. But anyway, yeah, they did return the kick for a touchdown. He dropped the ball too. Dropped it twice. Picked it up, and then went 90 yards. So the Gator Bowl going to Virginia this year over Missouri 13-7. That was the Saturday night game this past Saturday in Jacksonville. It was warm that night too. And then the Pop-Tart Bowl, that was interesting on Saturday. Boy, Georgia Tech came out hot, but the second half, just too many mistakes. They turned the ball over inside the 20. They missed. They had a field goal blocked. There was a lot of things that kind of went against them, and then BYU finally went out and scored. The Tech had the ball there, a chance. Haynes King threw one in the end zone, and he just underthrew his receiver just a little bit. He just missed one earlier, and BYU picks up the win. So,
2 plays really defined that game in the second half. You got the blocked field goal, which they eventually converted, and then I thought the 32 call. They threw the ball on 32. Haynes King could have easily got the first down.
I know.
Because he threw the ball right at the line of scrimmage.
There were some questionable decisions there. I agree.
I think he could have picked up the first down and killed the clock more. Yeah, Tech, defensively, we knew that was one of their issues all year that got exposed. But offensively, second half, they weren't able to do much. But some of that was because of bad play calling. I mean, Haynes King didn't get that many carries in the game. It seems like the last couple of games they've been kind of saving his leg. And it's his last college game. You give the ball to your best player.
Yeah, that was one of the better games really they've had this week. Although there was another game that night. That's Haynes King's last game at Georgia Tech. They lose 4 of their last 5. They were 8-0 at one point. They ended up 9-4. Oh, and I guess other than that, they cooked the Pop-Tarts, and but the one Pop-Tart escaped.
Yeah,
strawberry Pop-Tart.
As they said, he opted out.
He opted out. Yeah, the strawberry Pop-Tart jumped off the top, and I saw that they showed him leaving, like jumping off into the field. But and then I saw.
I did not realize that bowl has had so many different names.
It was a Russell Athletic Bowl. It was
that bowl started out in Miami.
Yeah, that was the Blockbuster Bowl. Then it was the CarQuest Bowl.
That was the famous Penn State, Florida State.
Yeah, Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno matchup.
Yeah.
And that was like a big deal. They had Joe Robbie Stadium, and then they made it the CarQuest Bowl. Then it started playing on New Year's Day sometimes, but it kind of got lost. And then you're right, they moved it to Orlando. It was like the Champs Sports Bowl, the Russell Athletic Bowl.
Cheez-It Bowl.
Cheez-It Bowl, yeah. And then the Cheez-It became the Citrus Bowl sponsor. Yeah, because you remember Clemson went in there a few years back. They dumped Cheez-Its on Dabo Swinney. But now it's become kind of like the Mayo Bowl, that everyone knows what it is. And you saw the BYU coach, Sataki, was eating the Pop-Tart there at the end. So you don't like Pop-Tarts?
Oh, Pop-Tarts, yeah.
Not mayo.
I was thinking mayonnaise.
No, not the Mayo Bowl.
I like mayonnaise, but I don't want it mayonnaise.
It's too much. That's I went to that game 2 years ago in Charlotte. It's mayo everywhere. I mean, dunking mayo on top of a guy's head is not my idea of any fun, but they do it for charity. They do it for charity. The coaches do, but
Well, and they talk about this every year when it comes to bowls. You know, you want to get dunked with Cheez-Its, Pop Tarts. You don't want mayonnaise dumped on you.
yeah,
And that wasn't a thing until a couple years ago, because teams did not want to dump mayonnaise, and they finally did it like last year, or year before.
right.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to think,
that's.
is there any other food besides Cheez-It?
You know what? I don't think. Well, I mean, you could count Tony the Tiger's Frosted Flakes, but I mean, it's more
And actually, I read something where they actually did that
the Sun Bowl.
uh,
Yeah,
last year, or year before. They actually dumped
Frosted Flakes.
frosted
I like some Frosted Flakes too, but yeah, that's a. I don't think there's any other real. It used to be Outback Bowl. Now it's the Reliquist Bowl. That was one.
The Fiesta Bowl used to be Tostitos.
Tostitos. Yeah, that one changed too.
Yeah.
So I don't think there are any other bowls with food at this point. They got a lot of weird sponsors though. Um, this is a Celebrity Mutual Music City Bowl. Yeah, that's right.
Well, I know when I'm putting this in the paper every couple of days, I never put the sponsor unless the sponsor is the name of the bowl game.
Well,
So like if it's the Toyota Gator Bowl, I'm only putting Gator Bowl.
well, it was the Tax Layer Bowl for a while. Now they've gone to the Tax Layer Gator Bowl again. So yeah, you're right. And yeah, the Outback Bowl used to be that. It was just the Outback Bowl. That's a good point. And then of course it's just the Pop Tarts Bowl. So yeah, you put that in there as well, like you said. But yeah, you're talking. You put in here North Texas, San Diego State. It was I mean, that's the craziest game I think we've seen in this bowl season. 49-47. It seemed like North Texas, they led pretty much the whole game, but finally San Diego State, made it close there. Illinois only needs a field goal to win here. Still 4 minutes to go.
4 minutes ago, yeah.
Yeah, still 4 minutes left. But North Dakota. North Texas winning that game over San Diego State. That was quite a ball game, 49-47. That was
most points in the game, most total yards in the game. I mean, it set all kind of NCAA record for bowl game.
I think that was the New Mexico Bowl. Yeah, it was in New Mexico.
Which by far is the coolest trophy. It's a cool, almost like an Aztec ceramic bowl. I mean, it literally looks like somebody made it. Like,
Yeah.
if you ever seen the movie Ghost, where they shaped the bowl.
Okay.
That's what it is. And it's got the cool like Aztec Indian cartoon things on the side of it. It to me is the best bowl trophy there is.
I actually didn't see that trophy, but that was again North Texas. I think they set the record for most points scored this season. I mean, they had to score all they could in that game to hold off San Diego
But
State.
here's the sad thing about that: the very next day, almost the entire offense hit the portal.
Oh, for North Texas, yeah. Are they going to follow the coach or
Who knows?
He's going to Oklahoma State, right? Yeah, Oklahoma State. That's where he's going. And then now the new coach at North Texas is Neil Brown. He used to be the coach of West Virginia. So yeah. So that game was interesting. Also on Saturday, by the way, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Didn't check any of that out because I think it was on CW or something.
I saw a clip where he fielded a kickoff or after one of the teams scored, and actually dropped it in the end zone.
The Pinstripe Bowl on Saturday morning or early afternoon at Yankee Stadium. It's kind of a dull game. Penn State pulled away though to win. Clemson did never look good this year. 7-6, they really struggled, and it was Kate Klubnik playing in the game, and Clemson just couldn't do much. It was also about 15 degrees at Yankee Stadium. It had been snowing, the Fenway Bowl. Army looked really good though against UConn.
I was surprised they actually put them on the same day, same time.
The Fenway Bowl and the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know, but you're right. They were on at the same time.
Army looked really good.
Yeah, they did.
Army did not look like a team that had 5 or 6 losses.
No, they didn't. They and UConn had been, I think, 8-4 this year. They weren't bad, so they really beat them up. And then East Carolina, I was surprised at that, knocking out Pittsburgh 23-17.
I called that one.
In the Military Bowl. Yeah, well, the Pittsburgh was like a 10.
Okay, so this brings me to my point. They played in the Military Bowl.
Go
and
bowling, military bowl.
Navy. So why did not
Have a
why did Army at least play in that game?
have a military academy there.
How can you have a military bowl and not have a military academy?
It's true, and Navy's playing in the Liberty Bowl on Friday, so I guess they could have done that as well. But
Well, I have no problem with Navy not going there because that's their home field.
that's true.
Plus, they were 10-2.
Yeah,
10-2, you won a better bowl game. But
right.
Army had 6 losses. Send Army to Navy.
Yeah, good point. And then
Maybe it's a red tape thing because you got Army and Navy.
Friday night, this was interesting. The day after Christmas, Minnesota, New Mexico was a dull game for about 3.5 quarters, but it got interesting at the end. Both teams had big plays, and then in overtime, New Mexico kicks a field goal. Minnesota on third down, their quarterback throws a pass in the back of the end zone. Looks like it's going to get picked. Receiver dives in front of it, makes the catch, and wins the game for Minnesota in overtime. They've won their last 9 bowls under PJ Fleck or something. Minnesota has.
Yeah, I watched the end of that game too.
I guess it's pretty safe to pick Minnesota in bowl games because they've been
also
winning.
one game that you and I watched, the Cal Hawaii.
That was the next game I was getting to. Yeah, on Christmas Eve, and Hawaii down in that game 21-0 in like the second quarter, and not only did they come back, but they score with 10 seconds to go. Their quarterback gets his helmet taken off, has to go off the field. The backup comes in and throws the game-winning touchdown pass on third down. And that was Hawaii. Exciting win for Hawaii at home, basically, against Cal. So they started the year with a win over Stanford. They finished the year with a win over Cal. Take care of both those rivals. But, yeah, you're right. That was a really good game.
And then they go to Stanford in week 0.
Oh, they do? Okay. They got to pay that one back, I guess. Yeah. Looks like we got 2:23 to go. It's 4th and 1 for Illinois. They technically could try a full. His career long is like for Illinois is like a 49 or 50. They're at the 31-yard line, so that'd be about 48 yards. Looks like Illinois going to talk about it. So this game's coming down to the wire. Looks like they had a short pass. Illinois did, and well, did he not get the first down there? He went out of bounds in front of it.
I think that's why they're delayed. They want.
See, they were all talking about how this was going to be a lot of orange in this game, but Illinois is wearing blue. It's still blue, not to be confused with Tennessee. Tennessee's in their white uniforms, but and again, Tennessee was down in this game 17-7. It was 24-14, and now they are up 28-27.
After further review.
I can't. Well,
and it's 4th and 1.
Yeah, didn't hear the announcement. Oh, those captioning said didn't hear the announcement.
I'm guessing they're waiting on a measurement.
Must be having problems with the microphone. The runner was short of the line again. It's under further review. Okay. So anyway. But yeah, that Hawaii Cal game was a lot of fun. You and I sat there and watched that Christmas Eve, and it was exciting to watch. That was a really good game. It's the only game on Christmas Eve the whole day, and they play it on Christmas Eve night, and that's what's kind of neat because you pretty much are just going to watch that game, and it turned out to be a really good ball game. It usually is actually pretty high scoring.
And here's another kind of pet peeve of mine when it comes to bowls. Yesterday, you had Georgia Southern and Appalachian State. Now I realize those are 2 Sunbelt teams that probably no one really cares about.
Playing in Birmingham.
Why were they playing at 2:00 in the afternoon? There was no other bowl games going on.
Monday Night Football.
Yesterday.
Monday Night Football. That's why.
Because ESPN's got to have the one game on 4 different channels because of Mannings. And then you got
they don't want it. They're
not overhead.
If you've noticed, they don't put bowl games up against NFL. They don't play on Sunday. They don't play on Sunday night. They don't play on Monday night. Yeah, I mean, now they will in a couple weeks because there's no NFL game. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of the schedule. But yeah, that's what it was because of the NFL. That game was early yesterday. It was the only game, and I continue to agree with you. But that's I don't run the networks.
It had really poor attendance, but it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. What do you expect?
Yeah, right. And it's not like Birmingham's really a far trip for Georgia Southern or App
or
State. So you're
Athlete.
right,
Yeah,
especially Georgia Southern. And that was at the new that was the Birmingham Bowl, right? Yeah, the new stadium
yeah.
in Birmingham, protected stadium as they call it. All right. Well, that's a look at the bowl games. I guess we also take a look back. Oh, the playoff games, playoffs. I was a little surprised Miami beat Texas A&M, but that game was really weird. 10-3. It was kind of an ugly game. Not really surprised that Ole Miss blew out Tulane and Oregon blew out James Madison, and picked Alabama to beat Oklahoma. So not a lot of surprises I thought in the playoff.
I felt like A&M gave that game away,
They
especially in the
did.
fourth quarter.
They did, and they missed. But Miami missed a couple field goals. The wind was really wreaking havoc. But Texas A&M drove the ball down the field, and unfortunately, that was kind of the story. Um, the quarterback, what's his name? His name escapes me now. Marcel
Something.
Reed
Yeah.
was the pick of
But
the
here's
Angels.
another perfect example. We talked about with Haynes King. Everybody expected Reed to run the ball instead of throwing the ball in the end zone and it gets picked off.
I would too. I don't know why they didn't. I mean, I don't know why they were throwing the ball down there. That's why they stopped
It
trying
was
to run the
only
ball.
like third down, so they had 2 plays.
I know, but that's the thing. They didn't even try to run the ball. They got down there and they threw it every time.
Oh, fullback dive.
Now they're going to kick a field goal. Well, Illinois converts a 4th and 1, so they're down inside the 20.
Tennessee's got 3 timeouts left, it looks like.
Yeah, it's true. But Illinois can run the clock down here now.
Yeah, but they have 3 timeouts.
I know, but there's 2 minutes to go. Well, what I mean is it's a first down, so they've got 3 or 4 plays. But yeah, you're right. They can use their timeouts. That was a good call. Halfback dive. So that was the look. That was the college football playoffs, the first round. Oregon, James Madison was a wild game. James Madison really was never in it. Tulane was never in the game with Ole Miss. See, this is the problem I have. This is why this needs to be tweaked, because you're going to sit here and tell me that Notre Dame or Vanderbilt wouldn't have played a better game against Ole Miss or Oregon. Come on.
Well,
I mean, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying to throw a bone to them.
they don't want a lawsuit.
Well, I don't think there's
But,
any.
but the alternative to that is have a playoff system for them. They could easily have a
That I agree with.
group of 4,
Okay, there we go.
a group of 5,
Right.
whatever is left.
5. Yeah.
But now with Pac-12, it changes again.
That's true. Well, they were, yeah, right.
But they could have their own playoff system. Because Navy could have been in that, South Florida could have been in that, East Carolina, Memphis.
It's like they should do with high school football, the private public in Florida. They should do, but they don't. But you have the. You're right. That actually makes more sense, because I don't know why.
I mean, you could easily call it the 1AA since FCS doesn't use it anymore. But
yeah, that's true. I don't know if they want to be called 1AA, but because they left 1AA, most of the schools, like James Madison did. But the thing about it is, why are we always? Are they worried about a lawsuit by the schools? Because they don't have any legs to stand on. They don't play the competition. They just don't. That's what I was trying to say before. I don't have a whole. I'm sorry, but I don't have a lot of sympathy for those teams, because they don't play the teams that the Alabamas and the Ole Misses and the Georgias play. And
I'm showing Marty something on my phone that I kind of created. But look what a playoff system would look like.
You created this.
Yeah.
Ohio, Western Kentucky, Toledo, Old Dominion, Toledo at Tulane. Huh. Western at James Madison, Fresno at Navy. Huh. That's not bad. South Florida at UNLV.
So, like the semifinals, Navy at Tulane, North Texas at James Madison.
Those are good games.
Those would be 2 good games.
I would. We need to put you in charge of this.
Well, I mean,
other
people have said it too on Twitter,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's the only solution that's going to make those teams happy.
Yeah.
Is you're giving them a chance to win a national championship,
Right.
because they're never going to win the big championship. I mean, look what Tulane. Remember with Sean King? They were 12-0, and they didn't get any chance to compete for a national championship.
No, they played the Liberty Bowl. They went undefeated. Well, I mean, Boise went undefeated that year and didn't.
Right.
Yeah. But they were never going to get a chance either. It's true. No, well, didn't Utah went unbeaten that year with Urban Meyer? his last year at Utah, and they played in the Fiesta Bowl and beat Pittsburgh, but that was it.
Well, that was the BCS era,
That was
though.
that's right. Because that also happened with Hawaii. They went unbeaten one year. Well, they played in the Sugar Bowl and they beat Alabama.
But still, I mean, even if those teams go undefeated, in the old system, they were never going to get a chance to go to the playoffs.
a little bit. A little bit.
And
Actually, it's Utah that beat Alabama. Sorry, I'm thinking about that. And the Sugar
so
Bowl.
even though teams were not going to make the championship game because
Right.
of the system we have, and even now, they're going to get killed in the first round because the teams we're playing are much
Yeah.
better.
That's kind of where we are right now. So I have a feeling
So,
there's going to be
so give them their own playoff system.
they tweaked it already from last year because you remember last year they put Boise in there as a top 4 seed, gave them a bye, which they ended up losing to Penn State after that. But they changed it.
They've already said they're tweaking again next year because
Yeah, they're gonna,
Notre Dame will automatically get a playoff spot. If
they were going to make sure Notre Dame had a case after this year's not getting in this year, but hard to believe. Yeah, we got conference basketball going on, ACC, North Carolina, FSU tomorrow.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Who cares about basketball?
Well, we're about to really get into basketball now because football's about over. But yeah, we still have at least a few more bowl games to talk about. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and I guess get to the pick'ems because we're going to pick the rest of the games.
So I told you this the other day, where high school was a complete runaway. You won by like 20 games. Complete runaway.
This is close.
We did some games 2 weeks ago, so I totaled up that, and I believe
I don't think we're about tied still.
we are tied now. You went 4-2, I went 5-1, so we are now tied 206 to 106.
Last week,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
I'm sorry. No. That was the one before that. Okay, so after the one we did 2 weeks ago, you now lead 219 to 218.
Close. All right.
So we already did a couple games because games playing today.
Yesterday too, Georgia. So we both had Georgia Southern, and they won 29-10 over App State. We both had Louisiana Tech, I believe they won today. We both have Tennessee.
Which
They're
has the ball with a minute
51. Tennessee has one timeout left, third down for Illinois, but they are definitely in field goal range, up down 28-27. And then I'm pretty sure we both have USC tonight.
Right.
It's TCU in the Alamo Bowl.
So we start with Iowa and Vanderbilt.
Iowa Vanderbilt, ReliaQuest Bowl. Who's going first?
I'll go. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, that's tomorrow in Tampa, Raymond James Stadium, Iowa and Vanderbilt.
Well, it's show me the money's last college game, most likely. Even though he could come back next year.
He can? I thought.
He's not.
Right.
Wait, how did Illinois get the ball back?
They've had the ball.
Oh,
they converted a fourth down.
They never kicked a field goal. Okay.
No, not yet. They're trying to run the clock out now. Although what happened here, there may have been some movement or Tennessee.
We're like offsides on Tennessee.
That make it 3rd and 1, and then if they convert a first down, they can just run it down and kick a field goal. But anyway,
Tennessee. Come up.
Yeah, Pavia.
I'm going with Vandy.
Yeah, I think Pavia will show off in his last game. He'll definitely have something to prove too after the Heisman thing, which he didn't like. I don't know. I thought it was probably the right call, but picking Mendoza. But I like. Speaking of Mendoza, the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock for him for next April's draft. But did they call false start?
Should be, because the running back.
Looks like they called offsides.
Before they snapped the ball, was signaling was running his legs without moving.
They called him offsides though, so now they're inside the 10, 3rd and 1. Sorry to do some play-by-play here. This game coming right down to the wire. This is in Nashville, by the way, Music City. So Tennessee's got to have a home field advantage here. Got a huge crowd there at Nissan Stadium, the Titans Stadium. There's a handoff, first down. Now Tennessee only has one timeout left. I mean, Illinois can actually run this in still. They're near the 5 yard line. They could just go in and score touchdown. Tennessee probably won't have any timeouts left, but although it looks like Illinois got some fans there too. Not a long trip from Champaign, Illinois to Nashville, but
All right,
again,
so
so yeah,
we
I'm
both
going to
picked
go
Vandy.
Vandy as well. Iowa just doesn't score enough for me. They're a defensive team. I think Pavio will show off. Vanderbilt will win.
Arizona State and Duke in the Sun Bowl.
Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl from El Paso.
Jeff Sims. Got to go with Jeff Sims.
Is he starting? Oh, because Levitt's leaving, I think.
Yeah.
Levitt's leaving.
I don't believe in Duke.
Well, they won the ACC championship game against Virginia. Duke did somehow, even though it was a wild game. This game, though, being in El Paso, and I think Arizona State is a pretty good team, too. And I'm going to agree with you. I like Arizona State. All right, Citrus, Texas, Michigan tomorrow in Orlando.
Well, we don't know what's going to happen with Michigan with all the crap that's going on there. Arch Manning, I believe, is coming back next year, too.
He is, yeah.
Got to go with Texas.
Yeah, Texas has played well at the end of the year. They beat Texas A&M, knocked them out of the top 4 seed in the playoff, had the first loss of the season. And Michigan, like you said, their coach is gone. They're the interim coach. They're in a transition with Kyle Whittingham. I don't know how focused they'll be on this game. I like Texas too, the way they've been playing at the end of the year. All right, Las Vegas Bowl, Utah, Nebraska. Utah now with also a coaching change. And Nebraska really struggled at the end of the year.
I'm going with Utah.
Yeah, and I've picked Nebraska at times this year, but they have not looked good at the end of the year. So I'm going to take Utah as well. Utah has looked pretty good, even though, again, Whittingham I don't think is coaching. No, he's not coaching this game. I think they had an interim coach.
Yeah,
but he's on his way to Michigan anyway. So, and then tomorrow night, the Cotton Bowl. That is the playoff game tomorrow. Miami, Ohio State.
Well, I might be picking this game because of personal reasons, but I was surprised they beat Texas A&M.
I don't think it's personal. I think they're just
no. For me, I think it's personal.
Well,
I don't like them.
I'm with you too on that. It's kind of personal too.
With that said, go Buckeyes.
That being said, I think Ohio State's a better team. I think they're going to win. So Miami, to me, I didn't think they beat A&M either in Kyle Field, but Texas A&M didn't play well that day. But I don't think Ohio State's going to make those mistakes, and I think the Buckeyes are better teams. Yeah, I got Ohio State against Miami. All right, New Year's Day, Orange Bowl. That'll be the first game of the day. Oregon, Texas Tech, 3 quarterfinals that day. This will be a good one. 4 against 5. Texas Tech 4.
I saw Texas Tech play BYU. I'm trying to think if I've seen them play any other games. But I like what I saw for Texas Tech. I'm going with the Red Raiders.
Yeah. I thought about taking Oregon in this game, but I think the difference here, Texas Tech's defense is better. Oregon gave up 30 points to James Madison. This game, we're in the Cotton Bowl. I feel better about Texas Tech too, but I don't know how the fan support is going to be in the Orange Bowl. It's both like across the country for both of them, but no, but I also like Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech's got a chance to knock off Indiana in the next game too, and if Indiana wins.
Well, I think they had to change some of these games.
They did.
They didn't want Miami to have a home field advantage.
Yeah. Miami couldn't be in that area because
They
they
were
would
not
have to
gonna
play
pick-
the Orange Bowl.
They were not going to put Texas Tech in the Cotton Bowl.
They weren't going to put Miami in the Orange Bowl. Yeah.
Right.
So, all right. The second game on Thursday, New Year's Day, is Alabama, Indiana, the Rose Bowl.
You know, I know Indiana's undefeated. I know they beat Ohio State, but they have a great defense, they say. But I think Alabama finds a way to win this game.
You know, I know I picked Alabama to beat Oklahoma, and Alabama has been playing obviously better. My question is, Indiana in this situation, they haven't really been there. I mean, they played Notre Dame last year in the first round game, got beat in South Bend. And you're right, their defense is excellent. Alabama seems to be getting it together a bit. This is a tough one for me because I actually think, well, now we're going to have a field goal try with 3 seconds to go for Illinois. This is like a 20-yard field goal or something. As Tennessee can block it. You know, I'm going to – you know what? I agree with you. I'm going to take Alabama as well. I don't know if I'm being an SEC homer, but I think Alabama's going to find a way to pull that out. All right, Sugar Bowl, Georgia Ole Miss, last game on New Year's Day in New Orleans.
Now, see, less than a month ago, I would have easily probably picked Ole Miss because
Really?
you got Lane Kiffin. They should have won the regular season matchup.
Right.
Georgia's defense clamped down in the second half because remember that game was a track meet,
Yeah.
like a 47-45 type of
Yeah.
game.
Illinois wins 30-28.
So I think it could be the same type of game, but I think not having Lane Kiffin makes a big difference there. I'm going with Georgia.
Yeah, I think this is a tough one too. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards a miss here. I think you might be right though, without Kiffin there. That's going to be a big difference. I'm still not that overly impressed with Georgia, although they did look better against Alabama last time out. Um, yeah, that kind of changed my mind there too. I think a little bit. So hold on, let's see. Thinking here. First game was really high scoring. That was in Athens. Um,
Yeah, because the first half, neither team could stop each other. Second
no,
half, that Georgia defense clamped down on Ole Miss.
that's true, and that might be the difference in this game. Georgia's defense. Yeah, I'm going to take Georgia as well. Um, all right, Friday we got Rice, Texas State, and Armed Forces Bowl.
Rice is only in this game because they needed somebody to fill the spot. Uh, this game is in Fort Worth, I believe.
Yes, Fort Worth.
So both teams are playing in the home state.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm going with Texas State just because I know they've had a better season than Rice.
right. Um, yeah, Rice should probably be in a bowl game. I agree. Texas State. I got Texas State as well. The Bobcats win that game. Liberty Bowl later that day, Memphis, Navy, and Cincinnati.
I like the way Navy has played this year. You know, they're 10-2.
That beat
Yeah,
Army.
10-2. Right.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, you don't know what team's going to show up. I'm going with Navy.
I always feel like these bowl games mean a little bit more to the service academy. You saw how Alabama played against UConn the other day, and Navy's been pretty good in bowl games too. So and also this being the Liberty Bowl, um, I'm going to take Navy as well. Holiday Bowl, interesting matchup on Friday night. Arizona and SMU from San Diego. By the way, this is now the Trust and Will Holiday Bowl.
I remember when, watching BYU play in this game many years.
Remember it was the SeaWorld Holiday Bowl for a long time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite bowl games because
It used to be a high score.
it used to always be at nighttime in San Diego. It was always two West Coast teams.
Yeah.
And they score a lot of points in this game. I like the way Zona's been playing to finish the year, so I'm going with Zona.
Yeah, SMU had a chance to play for the ACC title again, and then they lost that game late at Cal, and that put Duke in there. So, and Arizona has looked good down the stretch. So yeah, I agree with you. I like Arizona as well. All right, Mayo Bowl in Charlotte on Friday night. Wake Forest, Mississippi State.
Another team that has no business being in a bowl. They had to fill a slot when Notre Dame opted out. Completely different teams. Wake Forest is really impressive this year. I'm going with Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest has pretty good this year. Now, I almost thought you were going to take the SEC route there and take Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State, if you remember, lost a close game to Tennessee.
Started out 4-0, 5-0.
And they lost a lot of close games. Lost a close game to Florida.
But they finished 5-7.
Yeah, but they lost some really tough games down the stretch. But I mean, I agree with you. We got to have some differences here. I think Wake Forest is going to win the game because I don't know if Mississippi State should even be in a bowl game.
Well, it's funny you should say that because we don't have any so far.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm
okay. Well, we got 2 games left, and that could decide it. And I think we're going to differ on one of these for sure. One AA championship game: Illinois State, Montana State. I'm going with the Bobcats. Been there, done that. They were the runners up last year.
I know I've been picking Illinois State lately,
We're playing close to home. I mean, Vanderbilt's not
but
that
I've
far
also been
from.
picking Montana State. Yeah, I mean, it feels like Montana State is the better team, but Illinois State has beaten North Dakota State. You're right. Can they keep the road thing going here? Um, all right, I'll take Illinois State. Give it to me. I'll finish off this run here.
All right, in the last game, I put it on there for shits and giggles. The Division III national championship game.
I see that.
North Central Illinois 14-0, Wisconsin River Falls 13-1. I think we said in the notes that North Central's won.
They're three of the last six titles. They're defending champs. I'll take North Central unbeaten to finish that off.
And just for fun, I will take Wisconsin River Falls.
River Falls, love that name. So
Since they
I tell you,
went on with some Hail Mary.
I honestly was thinking about taking Ole Miss, but you kind of talked me into that one a little bit with Kiffin, and also Indiana. But I actually don't completely trust Indiana. So I think I think those are the right picks. All right, so
Those are our only two differences.
yeah. So last
And right now, this week we are both 2-1 going into this USC game.
Okay, right. Oh yeah, the Alamo Bowl is underway now. USC and TCU, late start. All right, so what's next? By the way, these dates are not correct. I saw this, but the Fiesta Bowl will be on Thursday, the 8th, and the Peach Bowl will be on Friday, January 9th.
Well, that's what ESPN said.
Really? They said that?
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm pretty sure that's last. I'm pretty sure it's Thursday and Friday. Let me look it up again. But either way, the Fiesta Bowl will be the first semifinal at 7:30 on ESPN, and then the Peach Bowl will be the following night at 7:30 on ESPN. So they'll be in Phoenix and Atlanta, or Glendale and Atlanta. Over those two games. Well, now I can't open anything. All right, give me a second. And the championship game is in Miami. Maybe we should just go down to Miami.
Sure, yeah, let's do it. So we have three more pick games. Of course, we can't pick right now because we don't know who's playing in the game, but we'll save that for next week, and then we'll our last pick will obviously be the national championship game.
Yeah. The semifinals are on the 8th and 9th. I don't know if ESPN.com put that in there, but yeah, that'll be.
Yeah, that's where I got the things from.
Verbo Fiesta Bowl from Glendale Thursday, January 8th, 7:30 in ESPN. Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl from Atlanta, January 9th, 7:30 on Friday on ESPN. And that January 19th, National Championship, Monday night, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. So we will be back next week with Wednesday of this week, the rest of the polls, and then we'll have basically preview those semifinal games. And, that'll be it. We'll have about
We'll talk about the 1AA national championship game.
Yeah,
because that's Monday.
Games. Right.
We'll vaguely talk about the Division III championship game.
Yeah, we'll get more into the college football playoff and the.
We'll be down to the semifinals next week for one.
Next week may be our plays of the year, coaches of the year awards, because the last show is going to be strictly watching the championship game. And we're going to do a Peyton Eli thing on that. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week, though, as we wish everyone a happy new year. Wherever you are, it's tomorrow. God. Heading into 2026, and we will be back in 2026 next week with a look at the national semifinals and championship game that's coming up here on the College Football Gridiron Report. Again, our high school show, we finished that up. We'll come back in August, so the season comes back, and same with college football. But we're ready.
I was actually thinking about this. I would like to do a preview show.
Okay.
Maybe we can set something up where we have some of the high school coaches come on for a preview show.
Right.
So,
okay.
We'll see how that
Sounds
goes.
good to me.
All right. Corey Davis.
All right. Corey Davis, I'm Marty Pallman saying so long. Again, Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next Wednesday here for the North Florida. Oh, by the way, it should be for Brady's. My bad. No, I'm here. We are back at Be It for Brady's tonight. Hadn't been here lately a lot, but as we said, located right on US 301 Starke across Bradford High School. Don't forget their 10.99 still going on. Meals including starter meal and fries and fountain drink or iced tea. You can have a cheeseburger, also $13.99, $16.99 kids combos as well, and they have specials every night of the week. Tuesday night, it's Taco Tuesday. I'll be checking that out. So we're not usually here on Tuesday, but all right. Anything else, Corey?
Nope.
All right, sounds good. So we'll talk to you again next week. So long and Happy New Year.